Hey, 12s, Adam here. Wanted to come at you today with the topic of Gino versus Drew. I know there's a lot of other things to talk about regarding Seahawks football right now, especially after the week one preseason game. And we're going to get to all that. If you're more interested in things like the pass rush and running backs and the offensive tackle rookies and all that good stuff, then be sure to tune in later on this week. Brandon and I will be doing our full podcast. You can download that via audio or listen to it here on YouTube on video, whatever is up to you. But we'll get more into that. But the Geno Drew thing, it's exciting, and we need to talk about it a little bit more because to this Seahawks fan after last week's game here against the Steelers, it's clear who needs to start week two. Week two's got to be Drew. Man, there's a lot of evidence that points to this, and I kind of wanted to get into it from maybe more like a bird's eye view all the way down to maybe some of the more fine-tuned things. So basically, kind of more from the bird's eye view is we've only seen, or personally, I guess, we've only seen them have action in live bullets in one game, but really to the coaching staff, it's been two. It's been the mock game and then now week one. And by all accounts, Drew Lock was the better quarterback during the mock game. And after this week one game against the Steelers, I think it's almost impossible to say that Geno outperformed Drew Lock in this last game. Because really, let's look at Geno's performance a little bit. And it was fine. It was fine. It was nothing to write home about, but it wasn't a disaster either. But it always felt like he was just a beat late, like that big over route to Noah Fant. That was one that if he could have just got it out of his hand just a half a beat quicker, that's a big completion. It also felt like that if you were to look at pocket presence and compare the two quarterbacks, that Drew's pocket presence was way better. Geno ran himself into that sack earlier in the game and then often bailed out of pockets that weren't necessarily ones that you needed to get out of. Also, too, I think Drew was just more decisive. And I think that's really where it comes down to me is, look, in live bullets, Drew is making his decisions and he's processing very quickly. Let's take a couple examples. One is the easy touchdown pass to DJ Dallas. But with that said, being easy, he actually went through his progressions. And then if you listen to DJ's post-game press conference, he said that the time he came out of his break, boom, the ball was just right there. And that's what you're looking for. And really, it's kind of this whole red zone production for Drew over this last game. Because we can point to the stats, and I know everybody's gotten the stats out and put them up on their Twitters and all that stuff. And, Drew looks better on the stat sheet. But that's not what it is to me. It's the touchdown pass to Derek Young. I mean, when he made that decision, it was before he had turned around on that little hitch route, and the ball was on him in a hurry, and it made it impossible for the linebacker to make a play. It was that easy gimme that made it so that that touchdown was possible. And really, those two throws weren't the most impressive to me down in the red zone. The most impressive to me was the incomplete pass to Parkinson. I mean, the degree of difficulty on that throw was really high when they showed the view of that throw from roughly the quarterback's perspective. Up and over the linebacker, in between, I believe it was the corner and the safety, hit Parkinson right in the hands exactly when it had to get there, and Parkinson couldn't bring it in. But it was an impressive throw. And everything that Drew did within the offense felt like it had better rhythm. And it wasn't solely relying, the offense speaking, solely relying on the run game. And that's very much how it felt like with Geno. That, okay, yeah, we moved the ball pretty well on the ground, and Geno made a play, maybe two, and that's fine. And he had the nice scramble to get in the end zone, and I don't want to take that away from him. I mean, he's a heck of a competitor. And I know that Pete seems to have some sort of loyalty to Geno here. And maybe it's just because they've spent a lot of time together, and I get that. And they've had they've given him an immense opportunity here to go out there and really stake his claim to QB1 this offseason. They've given him every excuse, every opportunity. And honestly, I don't think he's done it. And sure, they may see other things in practice, and that's all fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, it's about what you get done on the field with live bullets when it's win or loss time. And Drew's honestly just looked better. So going into week two, it's got to be Drew for me. I really hope Pete makes that decision because at this point, we've kind of seen what Geno can do with the ones and all that. And I know a lot of people have said, well, heck, Drew just tore it up against the thirds and fourths and all that throughout the game. And that's fine. And I've also heard other people say, well, heck, look what he did when he was only playing with the twos, threes, and fours. So it's kind of a two-sided coin there on that issue. And there's only one way to figure out which it was. Was he making the 2 3s and 4s better, or was he made to be looked better playing with the 3s and the 4s? And there's only one way to find out, and that's to throw him out there as the starter in week 2. And then that way we have Gino's performance in week 1 to look at. We got Drew's performance in week 2 to look at. From there, we can make a decision of who we're starting in week 3 to get ready for the Broncos at home. So this Thursday night against the Chicago Bears, I really hope to see Drew Lock running out there with the ones. We'll see what Pete does. You never know with this guy. But just want to say thank you to all you guys from the last video I put out like this. You guys really hit the like button, subscribe, share, all of that. The numbers have started to come up. I think we're starting to beat the algorithm a little bit. That's awesome. Really appreciate you for that. If you could do that again this week, that'd be amazing. Also, too, we got lots of other exciting stuff coming out here this week, whether that's Clinton Bonner's 3 and 3 out that he just put out yesterday, and it's up on YouTube if you want to look at that. Also, too, we've got the PNW Prop Stars podcast. We'll be recording that on Wednesday. So all things related to Seahawks betting. If you are in on the sports gambling thing and you enjoy betting on your team, then this is the podcast for you. We do that with Clinton and Wilson and myself. It's a lot of fun. And then also tune in later this week to What If with Phil. It's a really fun exploration into the Seahawks metaverse and all the different things and permutations that could have happened or maybe will happen. So that's a lot of fun too. And of course, the flagship podcast be coming at you here midweek. Brandon and I will sit down late tomorrow night and record that. And we'll get into all the nitty gritty from this last game. Really preview this Chicago Bears game coming up on Thursday. And can't wait to get that to you. Appreciate y'all so much. And I think with that, there's only one thing left to say. Go Hawks.